We are live, by the way, so let me know if you hear me. I'm getting ready to fire the music up. Yeah, buddy. The real fear mongering. No, nope. Okay. Chase, we live in a world where the Nintendo Switch 2 has been completely unveiled. We know it all.
True.
We know everything here.
We've seen everything.
We've seen all the bits, and we're going to tell you about those bits. Tonight is a deep dive. It's episode 417 of the Casual Hour. I'm Bobby. That's Chase. And this is going to be a Nintendo heavy deep dive. The Nintendo Switch 2 was fully spec'd out today. You got to see it. We know the details. We know when you can buy it, what it costs, and we know how we feel about it, I think. We also had a direct just for the old Switch, that old piece of shit. And we're going to give you some of the hot takes from that thing as well. But yeah, it's been a cool day in a way, been a weird, fucked up day too in other ways. So
yeah, well, yes, definitely both ends of the spectrum on full display.
Yes. And we'll probably tiptoe a little bit into some politics tonight.
Unfortunately, it's somewhat relevant to this conversation.
Yeah, like it's not one that we love to talk about, and don't be fooled. I think we've been pretty open about how we lean and how we feel on this show. But we don't typically talk too much about it unless we're forced into a conversation. And tonight is one of those nights. So we're going to talk about it. But this is truly going to be a celebration of the Switch to the best that we can at this stage. And we'll talk a little bit about maybe what we thought it would be, what it ended up being, kind of their strategy on what they're really honing in on and what they're hoping to win people over with. And ultimately, like, what did we think worked and what stood out most to us? So that's kind of what you're going to get tonight. Just some raw, unfiltered thoughts on the Switch. And if you know Chase and I think that you know that we are both Nintendo kids. We grew up with those consoles. Chase kind of exclusively plays the Switch on this show. He'll play his PlayStation here and there. And
I've played some PlayStation in the last 72 hours. So,
But given an opportunity for any game that comes out, if it is going to be multi-platform, he will pick it up on the Switch. That's fair, correct?
That's just true.
Yeah. So needless to say, we have a lot of history and passion for the product. And, Chase, I'll just kick us off saying I love console releases. I hope they never go away. I think they are on the chopping block, but I enjoy them quite a bit.
They're exciting. It's exciting to see new hardware because it gives you an opportunity for a clean slate, and there's so much possibility in the air. And I think a lot of the stuff that we saw with the Switch 2 is really interesting from a hardware perspective.
I agree.
So so some of the abilities of this machine to do the things that it does, it's fun to roll around in your head. Like, oh, how could we see that working in a video game, and how could they potentially take advantage of this? And I think all that stuff is really exciting. Even though we've gone through the PS Vita's lifetime and saw how, like, oh yeah, nobody used the back touch and nobody used this feature of it, and certainly Nintendo has also had features that nobody's used. The Like, how often do you use the
Yep.
3D on the 3DS? But we're still in the moment where it's like, ooh, you could do all these cool things with it, and maybe it will end up being the
Maybe you
next.
should.
Yeah, maybe there's like a neat thing that will change gaming forever in this. Who knows? It's possible.
I mean, I think that they've done an interesting thing for me on have they been influenced by the current streaming culture and TikTok culture of like how you can present what you're doing in a really kind of lo-fi way. Off-screen recording has really been booming on vertical platforms, and I think having some of those things where you can kind of set up a camera now, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, the game chat, and just it's hard not to look at this as me like, oh, you're just putting Discord. You've built
Absolutely.
Discord when Discord's going on other consoles. Why
Well,
wouldn't you just?
but Discord's also making itself shittier by the day, it
It's, I
seems.
mean,
So
100%. So I don't want to be like, yeah, great, do this. But I do think there was some things there that stood out to me of like, is this growing with a like more mature generation now? Like, if you think about people's age 8 years ago and where they might be today as adults, like, how are they attracting some of that stuff? So it was interesting. There were some things that I thought were very wild on just like what they were focusing on and how they were doing it, and other things I thought were really safe and safe bets for us. But let's start there, man. Like, what
well,
was
to
there?
that point, like, what's really interesting to me is that there was always this kind of philosophy, or at least something that I feel like people would see with Nintendo, is that they were always thought of the company that didn't give you what you wanted, they gave you what you needed.
Yep.
Like, you didn't even know you wanted this thing, and then you'd get it and you go, whoa, okay, that's cool. Like, the easy example is the DS. Like,
Yeah.
somebody looks at that and they go, this is stupid. Like, well, my eyes are supposed to look at two
Yeah.
screens.
What's the
Nintendo, you
deal
fucked
there?
up. Like, this is ridiculous. Nobody needs this thing. And then we started playing with it and seeing games take advantage of it, and then we went, oh, this is actually awesome. Like, having
Yeah.
two screens is really cool, and it made all sorts of sense. And I feel like Nintendo has gotten further away from that kind of philosophy,
Hmm.
and I think the Switch 2 is is getting us to a point where that Nintendo might be gone. Because this definitely feels like something that is a refinement to the thing that we all asked for.
Yeah, man.
And Nintendo's like, yeah, yep, we're just gonna do that, and we're gonna kind of do it in a Nintendo way, but also we are really just playing this one really safe.
Yeah.
And on one hand, I think that's good because I love the Switch. I think it's the best console they've ever made, from a philosophical standpoint, from like a usability standpoint, and so totally makes sense to make a Switch too. Like, why would you mess that up? But also, you're Nintendo. You're supposed to mess that up. you're
Yeah.
supposed to you're supposed to do something crazy. Like, what's the
It
next thing?
it's so funny to hear you
So
say that, because we were talking before we recorded about they even the first teaser for this before we got the full direct today. Everybody was like, yeah, that was a very Apple-esque presentation for how they were showing like the enhancements on screen size and button placement and all that stuff. And even today, like if you've watched in the last 20 years an Apple keynote, you kind of know like they're gonna hammer home a few key points over and over in all the demos and conversations. And I really feel Apple, in a post Steve Jobs world where they used to be disruptors and innovators, they became more of refiners and, quite frankly, like stock chasers at that point.
yeah,
And I'm not saying
and
Nintendo's doing that directly, but it feels a lot like that.
they probably are.
Yeah.
Honestly, they probably
Yeah.
are. And I think the Apple comparison is apt, from from the last handful of consoles. I
Yeah.
think from like the 3DS onward, they've probably honestly even like the Wii and Wii U were starting to get into that crisp white visuals and stuff like
Sure.
that you'd get with more Apple things. But I think we've always compared Nintendo to Disney in a
Hmm.
lot of ways, and mostly just because of like look at all the IP that they've built and they have all this stuff, and we just love them because they have all the good stuff. But I think they're becoming more modern Disney as
Yeah.
well, of maybe gouging you a little bit, maybe being a little lazy is the wrong word, but like knowing that they don't have to do much to to get to get the rest of us to give them their money.
Yeah.
um, and I think this combination of the maybe the worst parts of Apple and the worst parts of Disney are starting to both creep in a way that as much as I love Nintendo, and here, spoiler alert, I'm gonna buy this thing as soon as they let me,
Yeah.
and I will play it a
Same.
lot
Yeah.
because that's what I'm gonna do. But I can still be conflicted about it, and I can
I
still
mean, I
be
think we have to
critical
be.
of the direction they're taking, because I do think it's not a great direction for Nintendo, even if short term this is going to be great for somebody like me who just wants a Switch 2 and wants to
Yeah.
play nicer games on a Switch style handheld.
They had I mean, they've got an impossible problem. They have one of the largest install bases they've probably ever had with this. I mean, people I know that don't give a shit about games have a Switch. I do think that's going to be contested with the Switch 2, because what I'm getting at with this is the Switch came out at $299, and in comparison to a PlayStation and an Xbox and God knows a PC, that was kind of the, oh, we don't have to care too much to get into this, and it's family friendly. It's got two controllers on it. There was a good benefit to value ratio with that thing. You could throw it in the back seat of your car with the kids. And what I will get at with this one is, when you start charging $500 or close there too, it becomes something that is very much like, I don't see a lot of parents giving kids iPads at a super young age, although it's getting different. What I'm trying to get at here is, the Switch is known to be a fucking abused. Kids beat the shit out of it. They got sticky
Sure.
fingers touching that thing. I think a $500 console becomes a harder pill to
It's
swallow
450 bucks.
if you get Mario Kart, which
Yeah,
is,
if you aren't a sucker and you buy Mario Kart for fifty
yeah.
dollars instead of $80, yes, absolutely.
And I think that
Just putting this in the inflation calculator
yeah,
here, 299 in 2017 when the Switch came out, the original Switch, would be worth $387 today. And this Switch 2 is 450. Now it has a lot more stuff that it does than the original Switch, but this is an expensive console for Nintendo.
it's a
I
very expensive console, and especially for people who are being asked to pay that price over more powerful current generation stuff. And I think that that's like what I've been hearing and seeing. But at the same time, I've had to remind people today in some group messages, I'm like, people have not given a shit at all for the last 8 years about the graphics. They'll talk about it because it's worth talking about, and it's noticeably gotten worse, but it has not swayed people from playing games day and date on the Switch. Even myself, like, if there's a new game that comes out, I buy it and I play it. If I have the option, if it's multi-platform, I'll play it on my PC, period. But this thing being easy and having the capabilities of playing some more modern indie games and shit like that, maybe I throw one of those on here from time to time for a trip. Like, there's something really cool about the package of that Switch 2, and I like that they are making some moves on power and battery and performance. Like, those are the big things for me. Like, the Switch already, like, I love everything about the Switch. I hate how old it feels and how hard it is to run modern games on it right now. That is being taken care of. It's an 8-year-old thing. A lot of text change there. I love the look of the new Switch. I love that I can do a 4K stream right here for you all, very easy now.
when it's
Everything,
docked, it can do 4K. Yeah, and it also has a fan in the dock, which is
yes.
going to be really nice to to make
Absolutely.
like playing on the TV a much better experience.
You asked me before the show, like, what needed to be done. Like, what did they need to do to, like, get people interested or shying away from this? And for me, I needed to see the power. I wanted to know, did it do the 4K stuff? Because that is important to me. And I wanted to know about my library. Like, walk me through how I'm going to get my library. Walk me through what I need to do with my wife, who plays like
I
one or
mean,
two
you
games.
say that, but I think that the two of us were going to buy this thing regardless. Like Nintendo could have spit in our face
No,
and
no,
we
no,
would
no,
have
no. I'm
said,
not saying
"Okay,
I wouldn't have
here's
got it. Yes.
sure." But like the when I was bringing that up to you before the show, my question was kind of for the people who weren't sure if they were going to get a Switch or not, a Switch 2 or not. Watching the presentation that we got this morning when it wasn't broken, when you watch the presentation, I did see some people going, "Well, now I need to get a Switch 2." And my
Yeah.
question to that was like, "What did you see?"
Yeah.
Because I was a person who was, like I said, going to buy this day one anyway. And I think a lot of what they showed was mildly interesting to me, or there was some cool stuff, but I don't think I saw anything that made me go, "Whoa, I need to have this today."
Yeah.
Like here's all my money now. Like you're going to get it eventually, Nintendo, because I'm that deep into the ecosystem. But for somebody who's not as deep as I am, I don't know what they showed that really would get people excited.
I agree with you there. I think what they needed to do for people who were, let's say, a bit more enthusiastic about it, like you and I are, I think that they needed to show them what's going to happen with my games. What am I going to be asked to pay more for to get these things? Like, we know that there's going to be upgrades. Walk me through what that looks like. Is it, if I have a game already in my library, is it already enhanced? Does that cost money, et cetera, et cetera? Walk me through what it's going to look like from an online gameplay standpoint. And that was a big one for me. Like, how am I going to interact with people on this thing?
He showed you a lot of stuff about how to work.
Yes, that was, I would say that is where they spent the most time
Yeah.
on this. But is there anything like, I do have some questions about direction, as you brought up, and I'd love for you to elaborate further before I do. Directionally speaking here, like, where are some of your red flags right now, or even beige flags with what they're doing?
I was I think the hardware stuff looks solid. To get
Mm-hmm.
into a couple more specifics here, the Joy Cons do function as mice. They showed off a couple of things where the mouse controls can work, like the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which was announced last week at the Switch One Direct, is
Yep.
also getting a Switch 2 upgrade version that has the mouse control if you want to play your first person shooter like that, which a lot of people would. Um, and then they showed off like a basketball game that honestly looked really bad to
It
me.
looked awful, awful.
Also, just knowing that is like they modeled that after like wheelchair basketball,
Yeah.
and some of the people who would play wheelchair basketball would have difficulty playing this game because of the way
Yeah.
the mice controllers work, which seems weird from like an
I know.
accessibility
I know.
standpoint.
It's
But
super
okay,
strange.
that's a little odd.
Super strange. I'll
So
pull up
I
some of the
but
video while you're talking about it too.
yeah, but I think like from a hardware standpoint, a lot of that stuff looked and sounded really impressive. Like, oh, bigger screen, same thickness. The control sticks are a little bit bigger.
Yep.
The magnetic Joy Cons I think is really cool. The idea that the SR and SL buttons are steel and like they're the things that
Yeah.
magnetize in there. That's pretty cool. I think there's like a lot of hardware stuff. They showed off that C button, which we'll talk about where that comes in. And I think a lot of that stuff makes sense. It looked good. They did what they needed to say about it. I thought the game side was a little bit off to me. Like, yes, we got Mario Kart. They showed us Mario Kart. We already knew about Mario
Yep.
Kart. They showed us more. Looks good. Looks cool. Looks good. I'll play the shit out of that Mario Kart. They showed us a second. These are just like the Nintendo first party games. They showed us a second racing game, which was a cool surprise. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Kirby's Air Riders. So like, oh shit! Like we haven't gotten a Kirby's Air Ride. Like the first Kirby's Air Ride came out on the GameCube,
yeah.
like a long ass time ago. So it's awesome that we're getting that. This is the new game by Sakurai. Like holy shit, that's great. Um, but also, was this the time to announce it? Was this the
I
time when you already had a Nintendo first party racing game?
it reminded me a lot of the launch for the GameCube. And if you remember, which I know you do, people
Mhm.
are like, Luigi's not the star. You're launching with
Yeah.
a Luigi game? You fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
Now I think Luigi is a lot more popular, probably because of that move. But I had to argue, and I'm not arguing with you, the people I was talking to today. Like they kind of shat on Mario Kart being strong enough to be a launch title. I'm like, you all are mistaken. You don't understand that Mario Kart 8
I mean,
Deluxe.
it is like the thing that they're bundling in with something. Like they know they're not bundling Kirby's Air Riders in with a Switch with
But
a Switch
no, I
2.
mean,
Like
but like we launched with Zelda last generation, and that was
mhm.
monumental for them. You technically get that today. I mean, you have your games there, and they're going to be enhanced to a degree, but it's not going to feel like new hat entirely for people
Yeah.
if they
In terms of the new first party Nintendo stuff they showed off, we saw Mario Kart World,
yep,
we saw Kirby's Air Riders, and we saw the Donkey Kong
Metroid,
Bonanza. That's 3.5 because that's
yeah,
not Nintendo first party making that.
oh
And
sure,
also they'd already announced that before last week at the Switch One thing. So again, I'm giving partial credit on that one. But like I Nintendo again is like the cool, innovative, creative game people, and I know this was a thing about the hardware, but they showed off a lot of stuff that was here's a bunch of stuff from our third party partners, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff there. But also, like this is Nintendo's first chance to show off the new Switch stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? They did announce another game. The fucking tech demo that they're charging you for. Uh,
oh my god, that is insane. That is
it's
absolute.
it's
It's
rad.
insane.
I think it's one of the coolest things I saw today. And but also like why is that not free? Why is that just not bundled on the system?
So
What are you doing?
there was at the launch of the original Nintendo Switch, there was only 3 Nintendo developed games.
Yeah.
You had 1-2 Switch, you had Breath of the Wild, and you had Snipper Clips.
But that was not all they showed off when they started talking about the console. When they first showed off the original Switch, they showed off a Fire Emblem. They showed off Shin Megami Tensei. Like they had a lot of things that were getting people super excited about. Like, oh, shit's gonna be on this thing and it's gonna be cool. And I don't think they had that in terms of Nintendo games. I think they had a platformer that looks a lot like a Mario platformer that has Donkey Kong in it, which will probably be fun. Don't get me wrong. I think that game will be just fine, even though they gave Donkey Kong pants because they're all prudes. Um, they showed
I
off
think that
Mario Kart, which is going to be great. It's going to be everybody's going to love it. It's going to be the best-selling Switch 2 game of them all, um, bar none. Everybody will love it. It'll be a great time. Perfect, fine. And then they showed off a new game by Sakurai that just
yeah.
also happens to be a racing game. And I get that you put Sakurai's name on something, people are excited, but it's not a new Smash Brothers. So, and it
I
also is another racing game.
I do think we
And it
get
feels weird.
Mario this year. I really do.
Maybe.
It's been
They
since
certainly could.
2017, and that was rumored to be a thing. And I can't remember when they showed that game off after the launch of the Switch. It wasn't too far after it,
Yeah.
because that was their holiday release. And right now, I think the holiday release will be Pokemon, if I'm
So
not
you're
mistaken.
counting Odyssey as the last Mario game.
From like a 3D world, like brand new Mario, yeah.
Okay. I would count Bowser's Fury as that.
I
But
wouldn't.
I understand that some people don't.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that was like a brand new 3D Mario adventure.
yeah, it was like
And I think
hidden
Nintendo
behind
nailed
a
the thing.
huge old name, though. Like, I don't disagree
Totally.
with
I
you,
agree.
but I think
That's
from
the Disneyfication of of Nintendo right there. Like buy some old shit and maybe you'll get a little bit of new shit in there. But like
I
that
do
was a
think,
brand new Mario thing, which
and
I
I
think
think
counts.
that makes it difficult too for a few things. One, what we were starting with, which is that enough to make people say like, all right, June 5th, here's $450 to $500. And that's the thing I want to pause on for a second, because I'm still trying to like wrap my head around this a bit. So they announced this new Mario Kart game, and there's two ways that you can buy a Switch right now. Basically, a Nintendo Switch 2 or a Nintendo Switch 2 bundle that includes a code to download Mario Kart World. They're $450 and $500. The game, if you just buy a Mario Kart World, is digitally $80, and if you buy a physical copy of it, it's $90. Chase, I'm sorry, dude. This is fucking insane.
You don't have to apologize to me. That is ridiculous. I
And
mean, it feels like they're only charging that much, so you buy the bundle.
well, what makes me really nervous is like most of last year, it was after they showed off GTA 6, it was being speculated that the base release of that game would be $100 to $120.
Sure.
And it makes complete sense given the legs that the last one had. But Nintendo coming out for their games and saying these are $80 to $90 games, would the recent administration being different, would these be $70? Because Tears of the Kingdom was a $70 game. And my concern now is, administration and tariffs aside, has Nintendo decided our new console generation is now, and because of that, we see that these games are $80 now and $90 respectively. And is this the new normal for them? Because Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was the only game at $70 last generation for them.
Yeah.
What are your
So
thoughts?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's normal, because they did show off some other games and game prices, and not all. Some of the other ones were 70. Um, like third party stuff looked like
Yeah.
it was mostly 70.
Yeah.
But I imagine that Nintendo is going to say, "Ooh, for like a premium Nintendo product, like
Your
Mario Kart
Zeldas, your
World
Marios,
or
all
a
that.
new Zelda thing, like those are going to be in the $80 range, which is ridiculous." But as we've also seen on the Switch, there's also a range of prices based on the game. Like there are lots of smaller games that are still 10, $15. There's lots
Sure.
of sales for stuff. I know Nintendo stuff doesn't necessarily go on sale all that often, and when it does, it doesn't go discounted for much. But I think we will continue to see a big range of prices when it comes to this. And honestly, I bet this is Nintendo kind of just testing the waters a little bit, and
Yeah.
they're also doing it with a game they know is going to sell regardless in Mario
It's,
Kart.
well, that's the thing that I also wanted to pause on here. Like, that is kind of the game to get. If you're going to buy this on day one, I I can't really imagine a world where people would buy a Switch 2 in the month of June and not get Mario Kart World. I just don't think that
But yeah,
exists.
and I think the only way that they're going to buy a Switch 2 and not get the bundle is if the bundle is not available to them, so they just,
Right.
are shit out of luck and they have to buy the Switch 2 naked and then buy an $80 game to go with it. Or they're still in a household that doesn't have the internet, and
Yeah.
that's, you need to get the physical copy of the game,
Yep.
which, Nintendo did also show off, not in the stream, but after the stream, that there are going to be some physical cards that you buy that have a game key code on it that
That's
will
it.
then
Yeah.
download the stuff. And that just, if you are one of the handful of people who aren't online these days, that kills it for you. You
Yep.
literally cannot play those games because they are getting you a key that you go to the store, go to the digital store to download the rest of the game. And it's a lot like some of the discs we've seen for other
Oh
consoles,
yeah.
but Nintendo
Sure.
has been slightly better about that. Of like, oh, the game's on the game card, and then we'll give you updates. But it seems like that's also dead at this point.
I am all for paying for more development on games. I think that unionization's smart, and I think that we need to be doing this. But I did not expect Nintendo to come out with a price hike on games at all. And I know that they manufacture most of their physical stuff in Mexico. Mexico, I think, is being hit with a 25% tariff by the United States. That could have something to do with like the physical cost being $10 higher as well.
It could, but
But
I don't think like even the Japanese prices. Like I think they're higher too. So it's not like they're only gouging
right,
the U.S. for
I
this. So I don't know if you can completely just blame the tariffs.
I don't. I did you see? I couldn't find it yet, but did they put a price point out for the cost to upgrade a game? Is it $10?
So most for you and me, my friend, Nintendo Switch Online members, most of that shit is free to us because
Oh,
we have
really?
the.
The upgrades? That's
I
smart.
think because we have the expansion pass
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. We
yes,
have the high one.
a lot of those things are going to be free. I don't think I saw specifically anything announced of like, oh, it's $10, oh, it's $15. But I did see some stuff like, oh, yes, the Breath of the Wild upgrade pack is included as
That's
part of
great.
Nintendo Switch Online plus
That's
expansion pass.
absolutely great. That should be.
I
That's
mean, it's
how it
great
should
for
be.
us.
Yeah.
It's maybe not great for the rest of the people out there who don't have that.
Well, that justifies that price though, because when we went to the expansion,
It
it was to
helps.
get the Animal Crossing shit, and then there was like the new emulation. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's
and the Mario Kart season pass
oh
stuff
yeah,
was part of that too. They threw some stuff on there. Let's talk about game chat because that's one of the biggest things they showed off. We touched on it a little bit, but it is important here. So yes, as Bobby said, they're kind of just making their own Discord. That C button, I think I had theorized it was for calibrate for like the mouse.
yeah.
It seems like it's more for connect and
I thought it
connect
would
in
be for
a
sharing, like
yeah,
which it kind of is. Like that's the
it
menu that you
is.
can. But I did not think it was going to be a whole chat interface.
Yeah, I think the C just kind of generally stands for connect, like finding
Mm-hmm.
ways to connect in all different ways. So yeah, it does like pop up a Discord like interface where you have like a main screen on top, and then you
Yep.
have whoever else is in your chat or smaller screens at the bottom, and you can adjust the sizes of those things. So for a game like Mario Kart, I can have my racing up here, and then I can see all the other players that are with me in my group. I can
Mm-hmm.
see their extremely choppy video feeds.
It looked
With
rough on that
it
video.
did look rough. I saw some people, I saw some very copium hopped up people saying, "Well, I'm glad Nintendo like showed us the truth instead of
Oh
like trying to lie to us." It was like,
yeah,
"Wow, dude.
God.
Okay." I mean, I guess I'd rather them tell me, yes, it's going to look like shit. But I guess I don't have to care most of the time.
Yeah.
They did show off another feature though where you don't have to be playing the same game. Like
Right. It's
you
like a
could be
hangout.
playing Mario Kart and I could be playing Mario Party Jamboree. I will not be doing that. But I could be playing a completely separate game, and then I could swap and say, "Oh, I want to see what Bobby's playing," and put that on the big one. And
Yep.
now I've got a very big choppy game that I can look at. And one of the use cases they were talking about in the video package they showed was, like, "Oh, how do you get up to that ledge or whatever
Right.
in
Right.
Mario Kart?" And you're watching somebody's choppy ass video feed as they're getting up there, and I think that's a bad use case for it.
Sure.
But I guess it's something you could technically do.
Well,
Um,
I am going to hardwire the Switch in. It sits right above my PC tower over here,
yeah,
and I've got everything into my capture card. I'm gonna hardwire it because I. It's weird how my brain works now, being an adult, but also doing what we do right now. I'm like, this will be great for when Chase and I need to do stuff on stream or when we
it's
have the
possible.
Mario Kart. Like, that was something that you've tried to get me to do multiple times. Like, hey, can you show my stream, my gameplay on stream? And I'm like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of rough right now, but this solves that. Like, you and I could,
Yeah, solves it in that it will do it, not that it will do it
well,
well,
you and
but
I
it'll
both
do it.
have, we both have good internet.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming they're trying to maybe it won't be that way for everybody. And if it is truly them showing, is
I
that
think if
type?
it wasn't going to be that way for everybody, they would have shown it off better.
Mm,
I think this is just what the hardware is going to be capable of doing, and I
yeah,
think that's fine.
yeah,
I don't think it has to look pristine. It's if you want to see like a shitty 10 frames per second thing that your friend is doing in the corner of your screen just to like check in on them, I think that's fine. Or that, whatever. Now, also, it's not the only thing video feeds that you're going to be getting because they also showed off a camera. I They have like their own proprietary one that can go in there, but I think it will also connect to
That's what
other cameras.
that was
From
my
what I
big
saw.
question. There's two questions I have. One was on, can I, because I have a couple extra webcams, so could I just plug that in and be good to go? Two, and I think the answer is no here after seeing more of what the actual mice function is, but I can hook up other Bluetooth controllers to my Switch that are not licensed by Nintendo. If they're going to give me mouse functionality, like who's to say I couldn't use my own? I know it won't happen,
Yeah,
but
I doubt they're going to let you use any mouse.
yeah,
Because I bet there's just like a button thing with
yeah.
compatibility with that.
I'm
But
kind of
I think the
surprised they didn't
camera,
make a Pro mouse.
they still might.
Yeah, yeah,
But I also think Nintendo doesn't necessarily want people to
yeah,
think of the mouse as the main way to play video games. Which for me, I prefer to not play that way. So
yeah.
I'm okay with, okay, here's like a little mouse thing you can do, but not all of it. But the camera, I think the camera was $50 on its own.
Oh,
They showed off
okay.
the price of
I didn't
that.
see the price. I'll pick that up,
Um,
I think.
but the camera is there to, in a Burnout Paradise kind of way, to like have
Uh
your video feed, but it
Uno.
looks like it's yes, sure. But it looks like it also has like some auto cutting you out
Oh yeah.
stuff because they're going to put your face in the games in
I
different
mean,
ways.
honestly,
Like,
dude, like I thought about you the whole time this was going on. And here's why. Like, please do not take offense to this because you do a very good job of running Chasey K plays. But
mhm.
if there was an option for you to have like a studio setup where it could cut out your background, put you over your gameplay, and cut that
Why would
whole,
I want to cut out this beautiful background, Bobby?
because you don't really see it on your streams, dude.
Because I like it dark. I like
Yeah.
it dark,
Well, when
baby.
you do your videos, like it's kind of cropped in on your face, so I can't see all the beautiful stuff
Sure.
behind you that well. But my
Yeah.
point being is, it would give you kind of this cool idea. Like if it made it to where you could set up this little thing to do some talking over or like,
Yeah. Maybe.
anyway, I'm not saying that you don't have that set up with what you have right
Yeah.
now, but I kept watching this of Nintendo saying, hey, you've been watching people on YouTube for a while now, Twitch, etc. We're going to give you those clippable moments with your buddies and pals very easily. It's tied to a button out. And oh, by the way, here's a camera. And you're going to
Yeah.
be able to do, like, you could do a stream. I promise you, there will be something that comes out eventually where it will have the whole interface that you just need to go into a Twitch or a
It's possible.
YouTube right there. I think that'll
But
happen.
that's why I think those feeds are going to be always choppy, because when you think,
Oh,
oh, if
yeah.
I have three friends with me and I'm not only getting their three video feeds of their games, I'm also getting three additional video feeds of their faces
Yeah.
from their own cameras, plus my own video of like what I'm putting on the Switch. So like now, like that's seven
Well,
video
dude,
feeds.
the other thing I'll call
I don't
out.
think the
So,
Switch is going to be able to process that all
NVIDIA,
smoothly.
they have, like, you don't have to have a green screen. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, you can actually have it do the processing on your hardware where it just cuts you out like the Switch does.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking if your Switch is doing that for you and it's trying to run a video game and do all this other shit, unless there's something in that dock that I'm not, like, they're not talking about, that I'm assuming there is because it powers it up to 4K when you're in that dock. Maybe you get a little extra boost. Maybe there's some more GPU built into that dock where you're into it and you can get a better experience. I don't quite know, but
It's possible, but also all of these things are available in a handheld mode as well. They are handheld or tabletop mode.
your
Same thing.
camera, yeah, you can have your
Yeah,
camera when you're
like
doing that.
because one of the best things on this thing that they like gave just the tiniest bit of lip service to is this thing has two USB-C outs.
Mm-hmm.
There's one on the bottom and one on the top. So if you have it in tabletop mode, you could have it charging because you could
Mm-hmm.
plug in your USB-C thing there, or you could plug the USB-C camera into it and then have that on your tabletop and still do that stuff. So any of that stuff works. Oh, there's also a mic on the Switch.
They're doing
2
some AI
system
stuff
itself.
too, which sounds really cool.
They talk all that noise canceling stuff sounds like bullshit. When somebody's like, they in the video they have somebody like using a blender in the
Yes,
background. And I'm like, good fucking luck.
I know.
I highly doubt that's going to work like you say it will. But sure, Nintendo, whatever.
I I also am kind of surprised that they haven't put out a headset. I mean, I know that they're really trying to push the onboard microphone for it, but I'm kind of surprised that they
Yeah.
haven't said, "Hey, here's a Nintendo branded or whatever." But that is, I mean, again, you've got seemingly no longer have to go through a mobile app on your phone. That's a better experience on how you talk to your friends. I think they've
Sure.
improved that.
But also Nintendo just dropped their own mobile app last an
Right.
additional new mobile app last week
I
from the Switch 1 stream. It's like, what are you
I
guys
wonder
doing
if
over
there's a
there?
way like to broad, because like right now how we have it on our Discord here, like I could just be hanging out in this channel where we're occupying playing a video game and
Sure.
keep it more like study hall or just pop in. I wonder if there's a way to kind of like forecast or broadcast out to your friends list like, hey, I'm going to be playing Zelda, stop in and watch if you want to. Like, will it become that? Like, will it become a social space where you don't have to game? Like, I'm just going on here because I know Chase is playing this game, I want to watch it for a bit.
I mean, it might just be the Switch One tells you when somebody's
Mm-hmm.
booting up a video game. So I imagine there's going to be some ways. In fact, they showed it off a little bit with like the parental control stuff. Like, oh, I'm able to talk to this person, or I'm able to show my camera to this person
Yeah.
who's on my friends list or not on my friends. Well, I think they all have to be on your friends list. I'm sure. Give them the friend code or whatever, and then you can give them extra protections based on that. But I have to imagine there's just going to be like I'm in a joinable state right now. Somebody can join in on me in this party and we can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I can get an incoming call and just let you right
Yep.
in. Or I can say, fuck all y'all, I'm gaming alone right now. Leave me alone.
Yep.
And not allow people to do that. I'm sure that's in there. Any other hardware stuff we want to touch on before we get into the
I
game
do.
stuff? Because they
Yeah. I
showed
want.
off a lot of games,
They
if
did.
not a lot of Nintendo games.
We haven't talked about it to the degree I'd like to, so I'm going to briefly just bring it up. I think generally speaking, the mouse is a really cool and novel concept.
Sure.
I I was worried that they were going to do what they ended up doing, which is it. They tried to like add way too much motion into it. When they showed Metroid Prime, that's like what I wanted from it. I think that like
Yeah.
left hand holding it, and I'm already kind of convinced if that feels good because I'm playing right now in front of my computer. I have my mouse pad right here. I'll just I'll do that. I'll dock it and I'll play with the mouse on this mouse pad for Metroid and see what that's like.
So that's how you'll do it. How will I do it though? Because I do
You
not
not very
game on
well.
my Switch at a desk. I am
I
sitting or laying down on a couch. And so the blue sky tweet I saw that sounded right to me is of like if I can't use this mouse on my own thigh, uh, like I'm never going to use this thing.
no.
And I don't know how it uses. I don't know how usable that will be right now. I need to make bigger sweeping motions. I mean, I got a pretty big thigh, so
Meaty thigh.
I got some thickness over here, so I can probably make it work if that works at all, and we'll have to find out. But
I
um,
I can't think of a situation unless it's like what I have where you're actually at like a computer desk with this thing, or
yeah,
if you have it in that tabletop mode where you are just
sure.
going to be playing at that. Like I
Or you get like one of those laptop pillows that has like the piece of
honestly,
plastic on top
yes.
of a
Yeah.
pillow. And yeah, you could do that, but like I don't want to fucking do that. If
And
I'm gonna do that, I should just play with a fucking controller, which I want to
well,
do anyway.
the other thing is like if I had this thing downstairs and I do have one of those for the laptop when I'm down on the couch, but if I was playing Civ 7 on my Switch, which I would not, but if I was, that seems like the right way to play it in my opinion. Like
Absolutely. It's
and
great that
so
that's
yeah,
functionality is in there because I was considering playing Civ 7 and I was thinking, well, I'm certainly not going to play this on a Switch because it
no.
seems like playing that with the controller would be a fucking nightmare. I don't want to do that.
Yep. I I want to see more with it and I hope it's just not a little gimmicky thing, which I think it is, but I I'm really curious what indie developers are going to do with that. Like is there going to be some cool shit that comes with how they bring it into it, or like could Baldur's Gate make it over to the Switch? And
Maybe.
could you have that mouse input? I think that's
I I mean I'm so much more interested in seeing like what a Snipper Clips
yeah,
sequel would be that uses the mouse.
or Mario
Uh,
Paint.
sure, yes. Like how it honestly seems like a wasted opportunity not to just put Mario
I
Paint on that
I'm kind
Civ
of
one.
surprised they didn't. Like at least because it's not even on. It would be hysterical if they put it on the Nintendo Switch Online and you could use the Switch Joy-Con.
Sure, I mean, they had the fucking what was the service, the chat service on the Wii U that
Oh,
they took down. I can't remember. Not the Weebird. It doesn't matter. Um, there was something there. Where it was like it wasn't Mario Paint, but like you could Picto Chat kind of shit
okay.
with it. One more hardware thing. Even though it is compatible with the current Switch Pro controller, they are making a Switch 2 Pro controller,
It
which
looks slick.
seems generally the same, except it has two. I think they called them GL and GR, which
Paddles.
are like underneath. Yeah, little paddles underneath that you can program to
The
whatever
the
you
face
want,
buttons look bigger.
did they? I mean,
I thought they did.
I bet that controller will feel pretty similar, and that's fine by me because I think the
It's a great controller.
original Switch Pro controller
Yeah.
plays really well. I think they said that was $80 later.
Did they mention
like,
amiibos at all when they talked about the controllers?
They didn't, but like they didn't mention that it's not compatible, and
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff that they mentioned specifically was not compatible.
Okay.
Stuff that you think about, like like the Switch Joy-Con things that you clip onto your Joy-Cons, like those aren't compatible. Like, yeah, no shit, Nintendo. These are different Joy-Cons.
Yeah, whole new thing.
Like there were a couple other things, like all the Ring Fit stuff is not compatible. It's like, yeah, because that fit a different style of Joy-Con. That makes sense. They did also show off later. They put out screenshots of like, here's all the list of games that boot but have issues, and here's a list of games that don't boot right now. And they were sizable lists. They were more sizable than I thought they'd be, but there also weren't many games that seemed like they, not to say that they didn't matter, but there were just not a bunch of games that you go, whoa, what a big blow to the Switch 2 to not have, the Mega Man Legacy Collection doesn't boot on that thing yet, and it's still being looked. All of them say they're being investigated, so I'm sure that list will continue to trim down. But I think that's why Nintendo's been so careful by saying, not everything's going to be compatible. Well, most of it will, but like we can't say everything.
And
but
they'll get it there.
Still pretty small.
And
they'll get there.
It's a great library to get to. Like that's one of the most impressive game libraries out there right now. So let's talk about those games.
Yeah, let's talk about some video games here. So they did show that some GameCube games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online, which I thought was cool, I guess.
Oh, you did?
Like,
you did? You thought that was cool what they did there?
It is, but like anybody with an emulator already has had.
You know what's not cool, Chase? You know what's not cool?
What's that?
To talk about the GameCube and have the fucking balls.
Uh-huh.
To have the fucking balls show up and say, here's Wind Waker for you, you fucking pigs.
I love Wind Waker.
Why on earth, when you have the HD system, would you not say, here's the HD version of it, you cowards?
Because they can sell you that later when they're Bobby. But yes, Wind Waker, which is not the HD Wind Waker, which is fucking wild, is coming to that service. They showed off some other, like Path of Radiance, but not Radiant Dawn for Fire Emblem. Only one of those shown, and they'll all get there eventually.
The multiplayer stuff was cool, considering like that was a very prominent 4 controller system, and I think that's cool.
And they showed off not a Wavebird, but just like a normal purple GameCube controller that you can buy separately. That is wireless. Like it's a Wavebird and everything but name.
Would it have killed them to do the Spice Orange one of those?
Well, it probably would have killed them. Yes.
You cowards.
It would have made my day, but yes.
Not only can you not give me the version of Wind Waker I wanted, you can't even give me the right color Wavebird. You stupid idiots.
All right, video games that they showed off. Bobby, was there any ones that like popped out to you as like, okay, that's a thing I want to play on my Switch too? I know at least one of them.
There was one that they showed that, let me preface this with, if there's a game that I can play on my PC and my Switch, I'm going to play it on my PC. If there is a game I can only play on the Switch, I will be playing the shit out of it. And the game that they showed that I did not expect today that got me very excited that I cannot play on my PC is the new Hyrule Warriors. And I think that
Bobby is so Dynasty Warriors filled. I love it.
It's look, I I am excited as shit for that game because Hyrule Warriors is one of the best Switch games you can play. And well, the Age of Calamity, I should say.
The second one is the
And
good one.
this
The
looks to
first
be
one's okay.
yeah, this looks to be more of that. And the
Hyrule
time
Warriors: Age of Imprisonment.
dude, this is such a cool storyline in the Tears of the Kingdom. I am so jazzed to get to go and have a deeper look into it. Um, I can't wait. Like this will be a day one pickup for me for sure. And they did say it was this year, right?
Uh, Winter, yes.
Okay. So let me
Which
pull
technically
up
could be
this.
next year, like next January or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
probably this holiday.
I have a list here I wanted to pull up of third party games. I just need to excuse me,
Okay.
grab that really quick.
I didn't actually make a list. I should have, but I
No, no, no.
spent some
I
time
mean,
watching
it's
a
just
movie
all the
instead.
games that came out for it.
I'll tell you the one that got me most excited, which is this is a very dumb chase thing because it's a game I've already played. But Bravely Default, the first
You
Bravely
got
Default, is coming to the
very excited
Switch.
for that.
Yeah, and like it's I I think it's a little bit more than a HD remaster. But what's really interesting to me, besides just being a game that I really love, is this is like one of the first real ports of a DS game.
Yeah.
And seeing, I mean, I guess we got it with the the World Ends with You. That one also got ports off of a DS system, and like how do you scrunch the two screens back into one screen? And I'm interested to see how they do that with Bravely Default as well. I don't think there was anything specifically in Bravely Default. I think it was a lot of stats and stuff that were on the second screen, which is stuff you could probably get away with doing in menus. But I think it's really cool to see those games that I thought might be locked out of ever getting
Oh, sure.
ported somewhere, finding ways of getting new life. And I hope people like it, and I hope they do Bravely Second, which is
Oh,
the
yeah.
second Bravely Default game, but not Bravely Default 2 because that's a game that's on the Switch and is bad. But Bravely Default and Bravely Second are games that people should definitely play. And
I
it's cool that they're finding ways of putting at least the first one out on the Switch too.
There wasn't anything that I was very surprised by here. And I want to bring the one thing that I was surprised by, but I want nothing to do with it. I was just surprised, very much so, which is
Yeah.
the Dusk Bloods.
Yep.
And this is a big fucking deal for a lot of people, and I don't want to like
FromSoft. Yeah.
new FromSoft game that seems to be more Bloodborne than anything they've done in a while. And I think it's also criminal of them to be doing anything like Bloodborne tied to an exclusive again.
Well, it's also, while it has the trappings of Bloodborne from
Yeah.
like a very gothic looking
Yeah, it's
architecture
vampire.
kind of way. Yeah. It is also apparently like a very different kind of game than the other ones they've made in that
Yeah.
it is more PvPvE focused
Yep.
than any of the other soul style games, which had PvP stuff where you could like
Yes.
invade somebody's places or co-op in those kinds of ways, summon people. But this one feels like it's more tuned to have multiple people in the world to fuck around with each other,
Yeah.
and less of having that on like the side and more of putting that front and center.
It's not for you and I, but that is a big get for a lot of people, and I think it's also cool to see that on the Switch. So I was very surprised by that when that got announced today. All the Mario Kart stuff I expected, but from a third party, like seeing Cyberpunk on this thing is pretty impressive, knowing the history of that game.
Did you see Cyberpunk on this thing? Because that's when the stream froze.
No, I just know it's there. I
Okay.
didn't see shit. I was also
Because
surprised.
the stream like froze somewhere in the middle, and the audio
Dude,
kept
bad.
going,
It was
and
bad.
so we missed out. You could hear people in Japanese saying Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and then continuing to speak in Japanese. And like, what? Wait, what? What the fuck? Okay. And
I know.
Cyberpunk, and there was like also like a whole indie game that got completely missed
Yep.
in the whole thing. I blame Randy Pitchford, who
That
talked about
clown.
Borderlands 4 and looked like shit. He looked like shit. The game looks eh.
He is shit.
But as soon as they were done with that, I think they like went to Firaxis, and then the stream immediately broke, which was very funny to me.
There, yeah, that was right around like that survival kids shit that was coming out. I mean, look, like I am not the person to talk to about third party games on the Switch unless it's exclusive. Then I'll be like into it, like I mentioned. But I just kind of tune out when that stuff happens, man. Like I want to see what they're doing. That's what
Well,
I'm
it's
getting that
weird
thing
because
for.
like that used to be such a sticking point with Nintendo consoles. It's
I
like,
know.
oh, Nintendo can only make their own games for the
I know.
consoles, and then everybody else kind of gets fucked over. And I think there's still like some lingering. Nintendo wants to show off. Look at how good of a partner we are to all of our developers, and this is the only console you need because we've got all these games on it. But I think people saw it already with the Switch. Like, yeah, everybody is developing for the Switch because the Switch sells a shit ton and everybody loves it. So they're already there. So
Well,
I was kind of weirded out that they spent so much time talking about third party stuff.
I have a theory on that. If you'd like to hear
Okay.
it,
Maybe
here's
they
my.
just don't have anything else to show from their own studio,
Well, I
which would
think
be
it's evident, but they also play those games really close to their chest, and they've really gotten a smaller window on launches for it. Here's what I think it is, man. I started this episode off talking a little bit about Xbox, PlayStation, all that shit with it. Like this is now, this thing cost as much as a PS5 and an Xbox X. You have to show this game can stand toe to toe at that price point and run those games. And if you look at the lineup of what they showed off here, I think this was incredibly smart on their part. They knocked out all the sports stuff. You can play the modern
Yep.
sports stuff here, easy to go. They
EA
got
Football Club and EA
all
and
that's
Madden,
there.
both are on there. Yeah, NBA 2K, WWE 2K,
All
for
that.
some reason.
Elden Ring,
Elden Ring,
Cyberpunk,
yep.
like games that have kind of
Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Correct.
Not Rebirth, but remake.
No.
Remake and
things
remake.
that kind of defined that PS4 and Xbox One X generation of powerhouses and what that looks like. I think they're showing like, hey, these are games that like you would have had to see through a cloud stream.
Sure.
And I think it's very important for them to have we are up here on stage with these consoles for not because we need to catch up to them, but because you don't need them only any longer. And I think that was a very interesting play on their part. Yeah. Let's talk about Donkey Kong before we wrap up.
Okay.
What did you think about Banjo and Kazooie Donkey Kong?
Honestly, I think it looks fine. I think it looks like a kind of fun game.
I think it looks really fun.
Some 3D platforming elements, some similar to Odyssey. Like there's some.
It has to be the Odyssey team making that. Has to be.
I would think so. I even saw some people theorizing that maybe it was an Odyssey game. That at some point they were just like, maybe we put Donkey Kong in here instead.
Oh, interesting.
Which I could potentially see. But it also had like some original Donkey Kong Country looking levels that were 2D side scrolling things. I think the Donkey Kong looks like shit. I remember when they showed off the Switch 2 at the first thing, and they showed off Mario Kart, and people were kind of joking about
Donkey Kong.
The cheeked up Donkey Kong in that. And I feel like when they showed off Donkey Kong in this one, he was remodeled a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought they remodeled a little bit in the Mario Kart. But then they showed off this version of Donkey Kong at the end, and I went, "What the fuck is that?" I thought for a while, is this just not Donkey Kong? Is this a different Kong? He's wearing the tie, but it has and then the tie has the DK on it.
It's like, Danky King.
I guess that is that would solve everything. But yeah, he's wearing pants. He's got suspenders that go over his nips. Like, what the fuck is this prudish ass Nintendo Donkey Kong? I don't like it.
You mentioned it a few times on this episode tonight, Chase. This is not the Disneyfication because they are now DreamWorks. And I think that what you're watching is they are getting him lined up to be, they've got Zelda live action going. They've got Mario Brothers 2 coming. But Donkey Kong had such a prominent role in that Mario Brothers movie. Like he was in it a lot. And I think that
it is Seth Rogen. Like that's a guy you can build a bigger franchise around.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
I think that they're probably just trying to get Donkey Kong a little bit more of that main light. It looks fun though. That will be one I pick up for sure.
Yeah, I bet I will. I generally have not played a lot of Donkey Kong games, but this I think this one does look really inventive and has some cool stuff in there, and like plays with the nostalgia and also does some new stuff. And if it does have similar kind of Odyssey vibes, I could see that being fun.
There's one more thing I'll share just as a takeaway. I made Sarah watch some of this with me tonight,
Mhm.
and she brought up something when we were watching it that I didn't really think about when we were doing game chat discussions earlier. She talked about, like, she's like, I wish I would have had this during COVID.
Yeah,
And like, I can't help but think that period where people are trying to show off islands and, hey, I don't need to go and like,
just imagining how good this would have been for Animal Crossing New
yes,
Horizons then
yes,
would have been awesome to just be like, hey, where are you on my island?
yeah,
And
or
like
hey,
now you
look at
just
this
look down
thing,
and go,
yeah,
oh yeah, go up and go over
yes,
here, and like that's
exactly.
where you need to
I have to
go.
think that that was something that influenced this in a big way.
Probably, yeah. Like even though we are, I mean, we're not really out of COVID, but we're out of COVID, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there are still some lingering things of, you know, yeah. Hey, Trump's in office, so it could always get another pandemic. It's certainly possible. Never
Woof.
more possible than now. But you know, I guess Nintendo's ready for that in
Nintendo
case there is
stays
another
ready.
global pandemic.
They stay ready.
You know, I know we're about to head out, but we haven't talked much about the Switch One direct that they did last week. Is there anything from that one that you saw that you wanted to talk about at all?
I'm excited for Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
At this point, like, that was the thing that got me excited from that stream, but I
What excited you about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond?
it's a new Metroid Prime 4.
Okay.
Like, I'm interested to see what some of the like organic matter like telekinesis shit is for your character and how that plays in with the suit, especially after watching Scavenger's Reign where it was like this organic meets kind of robot
Sure,
shit.
sure.
But for the most part, like, it's just I really enjoyed playing through the remake of Prime on the Switch, and I really enjoyed Metroid Dread. I think Samus is a really interesting character. I think Metroid's a universe that I didn't spend a lot of time with because it was always so hard as a kid. And now that I've gotten into a point in my life where I'm more into like kind of single player, cool story driven stuff and like fun mechanics, I I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I'm also excited to see what their shooter looks like on a 4K display. Like, I want to see how
Yeah.
this handles on a performance standpoint too.
Because I guess I thought watching that, I thought graphically it looked kind of boring. Like I didn't think it looked that much better than Metroid Prime 3 Echoes, honestly. And from like a gameplay, you know, I didn't feel it. I can't feel what they're doing here, but you know, I didn't see a whole lot of recoil on some of those shots. It um, like part of me is a little bit worried that that game's not going to feel very good to play.
It
But
could not.
I hope I'm wrong. Like I the
It's
Metroid
been through
Prime games
development
are
hell.
that's true. That's true. But it's also those are very well loved games in the Prime
Interesting, they don't have a
franchise.
date on
So
that one.
yeah, no firm release date. It does say 2025,
Yep.
but nothing more than that. Pokemon Legends ZA. I know we were big Legends Arceus fans. Um,
I love that they're
I think
doing a
this
better version of that too, like with graphics.
Yeah, I think the urban areas are interesting. It does seem a little contrived to go from, you know, here are specific zones where you can catch Pokemon instead of just catching Pokemon anywhere. I think the rank stuff is kind of interesting. That's more where the ZA comes from. Is like you go from rank Z to rank A.
Oh yeah.
So it seems like there's going to be a lot of battling stuff. The battling is still I think I'm gonna need to figure out how that feels because the idea of like controlling the Pokemon, like the position of your Pokemon to avoid attacks or to get in attacks seems like a very different and potentially bad way to battle. Potentially good though. Maybe it'll feel great. But I'm still a little wondering, still a little worried about how that game might feel, even though
Yeah.
I'm still excited about the like catching Pokemon is so fun and interesting in Legends Arceus that like that's more of what I want to do in these games. But it does seem like the battling is maybe more of what they're going on. They showed off the virtual game cards. I don't think we need to talk too much about that. We can talk about it later. They showed off a new Tomodachi Life, which seems wild.
Yeah.
That just they're making one of those. They showed off that app thing, the Nintendo Today.
Yeah. People are
Um,
liking that.
yeah. Anything else that was really interesting? Ooh, I'm very excited about Patapon and Patapon 2 coming to Switch. I think that's an excellent way to play those
Yeah.
games. I'm really excited for those. Those are some really cool games. And then that might be about it. They did show off Rift of the Necrodancer some more. They showed off that new Rhythm Heaven, which is pretty cool. I love the idea of Rhythm Heaven, but not necessarily playing
The
it. Oh, the
execution.
Monument Valleys.
Oh
Monument
yeah,
Valley
they're all
1 and
coming.
2 are coming soonish, nowish, April 15th, and then Monument Valley 3 is coming this summer to Switch. So that'll be the first time I'll be able to play that game. So
Yeah,
that'll be something.
I've had the chance to play it, but I haven't because it was only on a vertical mobile phone. I didn't want to play it that way.
Yeah, exactly. That Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, which is a real Resident Evil Biohazard
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, okay,
Yep.
now you're just throwing the names together.
Yep.
Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like, stop doing that. Just choose one.
I'll be playing as Don Pappas. You know that.
Now that's Claphands Golf. That's different.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
this is Hot Shots is like the Sony one,
Yep.
but I
Yep.
think it was Claphands the ones who made Everybody's Golf, but then they
Mhm.
switched. It's very I don't
It's
know. I don't
it's
know how compatible all those things are. I don't know if Don
right.
Pappas is in the Hot Shots Everybody's
He's in my
Golf
heart.
universe. Well, he's definitely in my heart, and in his heart is a bowl of lasagna, probably.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe a heart murmur as well.
I just realized that this. I hope I'm not out of town this weekend when the thing comes out because that's around Sarah's birthday. But if it should be delivered on a Thursday, the 5th. If I'm here, Friday, June 6th, mark your calendars. We'll be doing a Mario Kart stream. Friday the 6th. So
Hell yeah, that could be cool.
mhm.
Oh, one last thing we should mention, I suppose. How to get one of these things.
GameStop will have it, right?
So yeah, GameStop,
Best
Buy was showing off some ways, but Nintendo after the stream did like put out a little thing of like, hey, if you want to buy a Switch 2 directly from the My Nintendo store, here's our really weird way of doing it. And it seems like they are. I can't remember all the requirements, but one is that
Nintendo Switch Online account.
you had to have it for 2 continuous years.
Yeah.
You've had to have a Nintendo Switch Online account for continuously for the last 2 years, which is wild.
Yep.
And then also you had to have over 50 hours of Switch game time,
Yep.
of play time on your Switch.
Yep.
I don't think that was like in the last year. I think that's total of all time.
Yep.
But if you have those things, and then was there another requirement or just those? Oh, I think you had to you just had to be signed up and registered to this thing. But it seems like they are going to give some kind of slightly preferred heads up. Hey, you're one of our loyal fans, so we're going to let you
just trying to get rid of scalpers.
Switch 2 train early. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it was. I think it was also one console per customer. So you could sign up for that. I did. I meet the requirements, so I guess I might as well. But knowing what a bitch it was to buy a Switch and what a bitch it was to buy any Nintendo console launch day in the last 3 console generations.
I was like, is Sarah going to be eligible for this? She doesn't really play her Switch. I'm like, oh, she's got hundreds of hours in Animal Crossing. She's good. So,
and I'm like, does my Switch Online account count because
we're family?
You and I are kind of a family. So
it would be silly
I don't know how that works, but it's allowing me to.
Yeah.
So I guess it works.
I'll be pre-ordering this on that's the other thing too. It's April 2nd today. A week from today you can pre-order this thing, and
April 9th. So we'll see if we get lucky. I guess we'll know next episode whether we got one or not.
Yep. Well, let's go over here to the credits, man. Lots of other stuff kind of trailing behind us. We've got, I think this week there's a couple tree houses going on for the Switch, and then on the 17th of the month there's a deep dive into Mario Kart. So, and there's also going to be over the next several weeks and months leading up to June, aren't they going to have like a tour where you can go and play this thing in certain cities? Isn't that happening?
Probably they've done that a lot in the past. Like,
Yeah,
put it on a bus or something and taken it to different
go check it out.
places.
So that's all happening. But this week, we've also got a lot happening. We went back onto the Oberdin. The light is getting closer. I don't like it, but we had at least 9 solves and we got a lot done. It was a really productive night.
That was awesome, yeah.
But Monday morning, Chase, we got to hang out with James from Ground Shatter, and we talked a lot about Knights in Tight Spaces, a follow-up to our 2021 Game of the Year, Fights in Tight Spaces. I had so much fun with the two of you. That was a great time. They're going to be doing some stuff with that video on their socials, so if you follow them, you'll probably see it. But follow us on YouTube, and you can watch that VOD over there. And while you're at it, go pick up Knights in Tight Spaces or Fights or both. They're wonderful games. And James seems like a very lovely person. Thank you, James, for hanging out with us. We appreciated it.
Yeah,
and then
that was a bunch of fun. And,
it was
really, really informative too. Like James was really open in game philosophy stuff and inspiration things and why they chose different things that are in the game. And I thought that was a really good conversation.
And I'm just happy that I got to play more Knights because I have been busy, and I am here to tell you that game rules. I am probably playing Assassin's Creed on Friday night, but I've been playing a game called Schedule 1 that's taking the internet by storm. And my cousin might join me and help me take over the streets a bit. But I've been making a lot of different concoctions on that game. And good news, your boy's going to be able to start making that Walter White treat here very soon. And I'm going to give the people some problems. But we'll see what's going on. But we'll be live tomorrow night. Chase, you've been busy. I saw
Friday night.
Friday night. Yes, it's Wednesday. Thank you. I saw
my dudes.
Wednesday, my dues. You said, you didn't want to play Split Fiction with me anymore, so you went and did your own thing.
Not true. We just took a little break because I was out of town. But yeah, I needed to put up something different for Chase K Plays this week, so I ended up just going back and playing some Warriors Abyss, the run-based Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, Koei Tecmo Omega Force game that they put out stealth dropped in February. And I feel like a lot of people didn't, it kind of came and went and people didn't talk about it. So I wanted to just play a little bit and talk about it because it's a game I've been playing off and on since it came out, and I think it's kind of cool.
Awesome.
So go check that out on Chase K Plays. Bobby and I will be back with more Stranger Than Split Fiction, hopefully next week.
Yeah.
We'll schedule some time and progress further in that. So there is that, and then also pilot program. Pierce wrote me, and I think we're recording next Tuesday. So
good for Pierce.
There might be a new pilot program out in the next week or so.
Okay.
So look forward to that. We're going to be watching the L Word, the Showtime show. I can't remember when that came out. I think it was like in the 2000s or 2010s.
It was absolutely the 2000s.
Yeah. That seems like a very 2000s show. So we'll
Big time.
see what that is.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's our show. That's the Switch 2. Tune in for more updates along the way before we get to